Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into Viyomam today.
Ah, Vyom.
Yeah, they're doing amazing work in India promoting natural and organic farming practices.
Yeah, they are. It's so cool.
And we're lucky enough to get an inside look at their first model farm through their annual report.
Like a behind-the-scenes peek, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And what I find really fascinating is their emphasis on creating spaces where humans and nature can truly thrive together.
That's really at the heart of what they do.
And they've outlined these 5 core principles to guide their work, one of which is celebrating and praising love. Now, I'm really curious to see how that translates into actual farming practices. But first, something else caught my eye. This whole initiative was inspired by a guru named Siva Swamigal.
Oh, yes. Siva Swamigal.
You know a lot about Indian culture. Can you tell us a bit more about the role of gurus?
Absolutely. Gurus are deeply revered figures in Indian culture. They're seen as guiding lights, mentors who impart wisdom and insights to their disciples.
So it's a relationship built on deep respect and reverence.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how Viyomam is honoring those traditions by starting this project with a Guru Puja.
Ah, yes. A special ceremony dedicated to Siva Swamigal's teachings. It's like they're acknowledging the roots of their inspiration.
Precisely. And speaking of roots, the name Viyomam itself is quite profound.
I was wondering about that. What does it mean?
It translates to a space where many living beings come together.
Wow. That perfectly encapsulates their
Yeah.
mission. It's not just about growing food, it's about creating a vibrant ecosystem where humans and nature coexist in harmony.
Exactly. And what's so exciting is that they're making this vision accessible through their 3-year farming initiative.
Oh, yeah. Imagine being able to learn to grow your own chemical-free food while respecting the environment. That must be empowering.
It is. It's like reconnecting with the earth, taking control of your food source.
Absolutely. So let's talk about their model farm, the Bodi model farm.
Yes. A 1-acre plot nestled near the Western Ghat Mountains in Bodi, Tamil Nadu.
So picturesque. What makes this farm so special?
Well, for starters, they partnered with Giant Agro Farms, a family who truly embodies the principle of Jiva Karunyam.
Jivya.
It means having compassion for all living beings.
Okay, so how does that philosophy translate into their farming practices?
It's woven into every aspect of their work, from the layout to the techniques. Everything is done with respect and care for all living things, from the tiniest insect to the birds nesting in the trees.
So it's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
Yes. And you can see this philosophy in action in the farm's various components. For example, they've created a living boundary called the Veli.
A living boundary. That sounds intriguing.
It's a dense border of shrubs and trees planted along the farm's perimeter. It's a natural fence, but it's so much more than that.
Okay, I'm all ears.
This Veli serves as a windbreak protecting the crops. It also enriches the soil with nitrogen, provides nesting sites for birds, shelter for small animals, and even has medicinal value.
Wow. It's like a multi-purpose, eco-friendly superhero for the farm.
I love that analogy. And they've also implemented a Miyawaki forest.
I've heard of that. It's a technique where you basically accelerate forest growth, right? Creating like a 100-year-old forest in just 10 years.
Exactly, and it creates a biodiverse habitat in a fraction of the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this mini forest must have tons of benefits for the farm.
Oh, absolutely. The deep roots of the trees bring up nutrients, and the leaf litter enriches the topsoil, boosting fertility. They carefully chose 107 native tree species for this forest, each selected for the local climate and soil.
107. That's incredible. How did they even decide where to plant each one?
They used an algorithm to make sure no 2 trees of the same species are too close together.
Smart. Maximizing growth and health. So they're combining ancient wisdom with modern technology.
Precisely. And they've even woven in cultural elements. Each section of the forest is named after a combination of a local river and mountain, connecting their work to the surrounding landscape.
Beautiful. They're honoring the land and its history while creating something entirely new. What other features does this model farm have?
Well, next up is something that gets me really excited. A multi-layer food forest.
Ooh, a food forest. Tell me more.
Imagine mango trees towering over guava and alma trees, and beneath them, tortal banana and papaya plants thriving. It's layers upon layers of deliciousness, all designed to maximize space and sunlight.
Genius. So every plant gets the perfect amount of light and nutrients it needs.
That's the idea. And they've even incorporated herbs recommended by Valalar, a spiritual leader, blending traditional knowledge with modern techniques.
I love that. So what about maintaining soil fertility?
Well, they've strategically included legume trees like drumstick to provide natural nitrogen, avoiding synthetic fertilizers.
It's all about creating that self-sustaining system where everything works in harmony.
Yeah, and there's more. They have a Gunga Mandal, a small circular patch dedicated to intensive farming of herbs, vegetables, and fruits.
So it's like a mini farm within the larger farm.
You could say that. It's about maximizing yield in a small space by carefully balancing different species to ensure year-round produce.
They've thought of everything. And of course, no farm can thrive without a reliable water source.
Right, so they created a pond and a clever water management system.
Water is life. I bet they put a lot of thought into managing it sustainably.
Absolutely. The pond harvests rainwater, ensuring a constant water supply. And they've designed channels and swales to circulate water, recharge groundwater, and even deliver nutrients across the farm.
It's like a network of veins carrying lifeblood to every corner of the farm. I'm so impressed by their ingenuity.
Me too. They've even dedicated an area for seasonal cultivation of grains and lentils that can't thrive in the food forest or Gangamandal.
Makes sense. So they're really ensuring they can grow a variety of crops throughout the year.
And they've already had a successful harvest of green gram using organic seeds and relying on natural rainfall.
Wonderful. They even performed a traditional Bija Arpana ceremony before sowing, offering the seeds to the divine for a good harvest.
A beautiful blend of ancient tradition and modern practice. So we've talked about the farm's features, but what about the people who live and work there? Where do they stay?
Good question. I'm curious about that too.
They're planning to build an eco-friendly house right on the farm using compressed earth bricks made from the soil on site.
Wow. Sustainable construction at its finest. Any other interesting building techniques in the plan?
Oh, definitely. They're using traditional methods like wattle and daub for internal walls and bamboo trusses with ferrous cement for the roof. It's a fascinating fusion of old and new.
I love how they blend tradition and innovation.
It's called a design for all concept, providing space for farm workers, families, and even animals. It really embodies their philosophy of inclusivity and compassion.
They've truly created a model for sustainable living. And I think this whole project stemmed from Siva Swamigal's vision.
His teachings are deeply embedded in every aspect of the farm. It's inspiring to see how a powerful vision can be brought to life through dedication and passion.
It really is. This deep dive is making me reflect on my own choices and how I can live more sustainably. But I'm also curious, a project this ambitious must have faced challenges along the way, right?
Of course, every journey has its obstacles, and Viyomam's is no different.
Well, I can't wait to hear about those challenges and how they overcame them. That's for part 2 of our deep dive. Join us next time as we explore the struggles and triumphs of creating a truly sustainable model farm.
Welcome back. Ready to uncover some of the challenges Viyomam faced in bringing their model farm to life?
Definitely. Everything seems so inspiring and smooth sailing so far, but I'm sure there were bumps along the road. Let's dig into those.
Well, even with meticulous planning, unexpected hurdles pop up. Remember that incredible Miyawaki forest with its 107 native tree species?
Yeah, it's like a botanical masterpiece. What could possibly go wrong there?
Sourcing the saplings for all those species turned out to be a major challenge.
I can imagine. Trying to find that many different native trees in sufficient quantities must have been a logistical nightmare.
It was. They had to do tons of research network with local nurseries and even collaborate with communities involved in native plant conservation. It was a massive effort.
Wow, so it wasn't just about finding the trees, it was about building relationships and tapping into local expertise.
Exactly, a true community effort, which highlights how crucial community engagement is for any sustainability project.
That's a great point. And speaking of challenges, we touched on the impact of COVID-19 in the last part. Did the report go into detail about the specific hurdles the pandemic created?
It did. The lockdowns and travel restrictions really threw a wrench in their plans, especially in the early stages.
I bet. Coordinating site visits, material deliveries, and managing labor must have been a constant headache.
It was. They had to constantly adjust their timelines and adapt to the ever-changing circumstances. Construction on the eco-friendly house even got delayed because of material shortages and labor unavailability.
It's amazing how they managed to navigate all those uncertainties and keep the project going. Talk about resilience.
They didn't just survive, they thrived. They found creative ways to adapt and even turn some of those challenges into opportunities. Remember the AI tool they're using, OneSoil?
Yes, the one that analyzes satellite imagery to check on the vegetation. How did that come into play during the pandemic?
Well, when lockdowns restricted physical access to the farm, they used OneSoil to monitor progress remotely.
That's brilliant. They leveraged technology to overcome physical limitations.
Exactly. They could track the growth of their green gram crop, assess the overall health of the vegetation, and even identify potential issues all from a distance.
Talk about making the best of a difficult situation.
Resourcefulness at its finest. They refused to let those challenges derail their vision. They adapted and innovated instead.
Such an important lesson for us all. Life throws curveballs, and it's our ability to adapt that helps us thrive.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's shift gears and talk about water management. The report mentioned how the farm's location presented both advantages and disadvantages in terms of water resources.
Right. The west to east slope and that red soil with its high permeability. How do those factors influence their approach to water management?
Well, red soil is great for drainage, but it also means water can disappear quickly. So water retention became a crucial concern.
So they had to strike a balance between drainage and conservation. Not an easy task.
You got it. But they came up with clever solutions. Remember that strategically placed pond we discussed?
Their rainwater harvesting system, of course.
That pond collects runoff from the higher elevations, and they're going to line it with natural materials to prevent seepage. That ensures a consistent water source for the farm.
Smart. It's like creating a reservoir capturing and storing rainwater for those drier spells.
Precisely. And don't forget those swales and channels we talked about.
Ah, yes. Those gently sloping ditches that slow down water flow and let it soak into the ground. They're like mini dams replenishing the groundwater.
Exactly. They help distribute moisture evenly and prevent soil erosion. It's a truly holistic approach working in harmony with the natural landscape.
It's amazing how they turn potential water challenges into opportunities for sustainable water management. It's like they're not just working with nature, they're working for it.
Beautifully said. Their understanding of interconnectedness extends to their soil management practices, too. Remember how they stress the importance of year-round green cover?
Yes. They even plant certain crops, specifically to enrich the soil and prevent it from drying out. Was it called green manuring?
That's the one. Those plants act as living fertilizers, improving soil structure and increasing water holding capacity.
Like a protective and nourishing blanket for the soil.
And they've embraced the traditional practice of mulching, too.
Mulching. Like using dried leaves and crop residues as a soil covering. My grandmother used to do that in her garden.
It's simple, yet incredibly effective. Mulching suppresses weeds, retains moisture, regulates soil temperature, and creates a thriving environment for beneficial microbes.
It's wonderful how these time-tested techniques remain relevant today. Viyomam is blending ancient wisdom with modern science to create a truly sustainable farming approach.
And they're not afraid to combine old and new. They even use biochar as a soil amendment.
Biochar, what's that?
It's a charcoal-like material produced by burning organic matter in a controlled way. It's a game changer for soil health. It improves structure, boosts water retention, and even sequesters carbon, helping to fight climate change.
Wow. So they're enhancing soil fertility and contributing to climate change mitigation. Their whole approach seems deeply attuned to nature's rhythms.
They're thinking long-term, that's for sure. And remember, all of this stems from Siva Swamigal's vision of living in harmony with nature.
His teachings are woven into every thread of this farm, from the Uyghur Valley to the Miyawaki forest to the biochar enriching the soil. It's incredible to see his vision brought to life.
It's a powerful reminder that even small actions rooted in compassion and respect for nature can have a ripple effect.
I love that. So we've covered some of the challenges Viyomam faced and how they overcame them. They're clearly resourceful and resilient. But what are the wider implications of their work? What can we learn from their model?
Excellent questions, and those are exactly what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Join us next time as we delve into the broader significance of Viyomam's model farm and what it means for the future of sustainable living.
Welcome back for the final part of our Viyomam deep dive. It's been amazing to explore their journey, learning about their innovative solutions and how they face challenges head on. But I'm really curious to hear your take on the big picture. What it all means.
I think Viyomam is doing something truly remarkable here. It's more than just growing food. They're presenting a whole new vision for sustainable living.
I totally agree. Over the last two parts, we've seen how they weave ancient wisdom with modern technology, always prioritizing compassion in everything they do. It's like they're setting a new standard for others to follow.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about creating a thriving ecosystem where all forms of life can flourish. They've tackled soil health, water management, biodiversity, sustainable construction, you name it, and all while staying true to their core principles, especially Jiva Karunyam.
Yes, that deep compassion for all beings. They're showing us we can produce food in a way that benefits both people and the planet, abundance, without depletion, prosperity, without exploitation.
Such a powerful message in a world grappling with climate change, biodiversity loss, and food insecurity. Viyomam demonstrates that solutions do exist, and they often lie at the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern innovation.
That blend is so inspiring. Traditional mulching techniques alongside AI-powered crop monitoring. It's like a tapestry of sustainability, both beautiful and functional.
And they're not keeping it to themselves. Their 3-year farming initiative is open to anyone, even city dwellers can learn these methods.
That's what makes their model so powerful. It's not an exclusive club. It's an open invitation. They're saying you don't need vast acres of land to embrace sustainable living. Start small, start anywhere, and let compassion be your compass.
It's about empowering individuals taking charge of our food choices, reconnecting with nature, and actively shaping a sustainable future.
Mm.
And that's where I see Viyomam's true legacy. It's not just what they're doing, but the inspiration they spark in all of us to rethink our relationship with food, with nature, with each other.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Their model farm is like a beacon of hope, a testament to what we can achieve when we prioritize compassion, sustainability, and respect for all life. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me, a whole new way of thinking about food and farming.
Me too. And as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with this question. What small act of compassion can you weave into your own life? Maybe it's supporting a local farmer, choosing sustainable products, or simply pausing to appreciate the beauty of the natural world around you.
What a wonderful thought to leave us with. Viyomam reminds us that even the smallest actions fueled by compassion can have a ripple effect, creating positive change. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring journey. I hope it sparked new ideas and ignited a sense of hope for a more sustainable future for us all.